On the Fringe with Dan RadioStyle. Hope everybody out there's having themselves a great day. Donald Trump, kind of, I don't know, like I sort of thought it was a little joke, and I don't know if you've seen it yet, but it's like trying to find Waldo, right? This whole idea of finding peace. Trump seems really good at it. And by the way, there is a Waldo in the thumbnail. I hope you can find it. All said, we've got a lot happening in the world. We've got China really shaking things up, and gold and silver. Oh, my God. Yeah, no, seriously. Oh, my God. Yeah, I didn't see that one coming at all. And in a very good way, kind of. But it indicates a larger problem. This whole thing with China is freaking people out. So, again, a lot to talk about. Let's get the ball rolling. I want to talk about some of the crazy crap that's happening all over the place, frankly. But two trains collided in eastern Slovakia. Injuries happened, 66 people for that matter. Nobody dead, which is fantastic. So, again, not cool. Train crash. Torrential rains and flooding are leaving at least 64 people dead and apparently 65 missing just in Mexico from that horrible storm that was that Pacific typhoon that came on land. We've also got a small plane crash that happened near Fort Worth. I'm going to let my lovely dear friend Alice Tang tell us all about that.
2 people are dead after a small plane crashed in North Texas. We want to warn you, some people may find this video disturbing. The crash happened Sunday morning near North Worth, Texas, not far from Hicks Airfield. Surveillance video from a nearby business captured what happened. The plane's wing touched the pavement before it crashed into a parking lot where trucks and campers were parked. The collision triggered a huge fireball, and 2 people on board the plane died. It is unclear where the flight originated from or where the small plane was going. The Federal Aviation Administration and the National Transportation Safety Board are investigating what's happened.
I'm going to have to correct you a little bit, Alice. It was pretty easy to tell where the aircraft was going, straight into the ground. Now, obviously what she meant was where it was intending to go. Still, that's horrible. I think we got another crazy plane crash. You guys remember the Democrats saying they're not going to worry about the shutdown until planes start falling from the sky? Plane crashes onto Interstate 195 in Dartmouth, Massachusetts. That's 2 plane crashes. Just in one day, mind you. That's okay, though. Let's not worry about that. Governor Kathy Hochul says, due to the ongoing nor'easter, I'm declaring a state of emergency for New York City, Long Island, Long Island, and Westchester. We're ready to assist local partners as damaging winds and heavy rains move in with the potential for flooding and power outages. Stay vigilant and take steps now to prepare. So prayers to people in New York right now. Just a really kind of cool story. Lady in, it's in Hawaii. I don't know where she actually resides from, but 80-year-old finished the Iron Man, or Iron Person, I guess. But needless to say, she pulled it off, and oldest person to ever do it, and kind of cool. Inspiring to many.
From the USA, Natalie Rebon. After rap she comes, come on everybody, can you scream? Natalie! Can you scream louder? There she is. Sherry Rebon is there. Natalie Rebon, you are...
So, again, that's just fantastic that she did that. And again, hats off. 80-year-old, and that's so freaking cool. So freaking cool. I certainly couldn't do it at my age. My little sister's doing weird stuff like that. She's like 10 years younger than me, so, that's my excuse. There's no way in hell I'd be dead someplace on the run. That's where you'd find me, dead. That's not something I'm interested in. Charlemagne Lagarde said something kind of interesting, and I think a lot of people are starting to come to these conclusions.
Donald Trump shows me what's politically possible. Trump shows me what presidents can do if they want to do it. Donald Trump shows me what can be said if you are willing to say it. It's not about what can't be done. It's about who has the political will to do it. I don't want to hear a peep from Democrats about nothing until they get the balls to say what's really on their mind in regards to this country and this world. Trump doesn't care if it sounds ridiculous. Trump doesn't care if it makes sense. It's no political correctness whatsoever. As I've been saying for years, the language of politics is dead, and Donald Trump killed it, period.
Yeah, and I don't know where that was gonna go, and I normally don't agree with Charlemagne, so it's interesting that that's where he's at the moment. A lot going on with Israel. Peace deal, big time has happened. Trump proclaims the end of the age of terror and death after Hamas released all the remaining hostages. It's pretty cool. We've got some neat stuff to share here. Got a bunch of Trump talking. Let's get into this.
It has been, some say, a miracle. What you've done is a miracle. Look at your size. Look at your chances when it all started. And you know, if you think about it, you are safer today, stronger today, and more respected today than at any time in the history of Israel. Think of it. People used to say it wouldn't exist. They don't say that anymore, do they? Yet if safety, security, and coexistence can thrive here in the winding alleys and ancient paths of Jerusalem, then surely peace and respect can flourish among the nations of the broader Middle East. The God who once dwelled among his people in this city still calls us, in the words of Scripture, the turn from evil and do good, to seek peace and pursue it. So he still whispers truth into the hills and knolls and valleys of his magnificent creation, and he still writes hope into the hearts of his children all over the world. And that is why even after 3,000 years of pain and conflict, the people of Israel have never given up from the threats of Zionism, from all sorts of threats. You want the promise of Zion. You want the promise of success and hope and love and God. And the people of America have never lost faith in the promise of a great and blessed future for all of us. From the very first day that modern Israel was founded, we have stood together through thick and thin of setbacks, and through victory and defeat, through glory and heartache. We have built industries together. We have made discoveries together. We have confronted evil together, and we have waged war together. And perhaps most beautifully of all, we have made peace together. And this week, against all odds, we have done the impossible and brought our hostages home. So now we're going to forge a future that is worthy of our heritage. We're going to build a legacy that all the people of this region can be proud of. New bonds of friendship, cooperation, and commerce will join Tel Aviv to Dubai, Haifa to Beirut, Jerusalem to Damascus, and from Israel to Egypt, from Saudi Arabia to Qatar, from India to Pakistan, from Indonesia to Iraq, from Syria to Bahrain, Turkey to Jordan, the United Arab Emirates to Oman, and Armenia to Azerbaijan, another war that I just settled. We are going to have hope, harmony, opportunity, and happiness here in the spiritual and geographic center of the entire world. That's what you are. Israel, America, and all of the nations of the Middle East will soon be safer, stronger, greater, and more prosperous than ever before.
Amen to that. Amen to that. Now, again, I'm not playing any of it, but the anti-Israel group, I've already seen a number of things come out. So they're going full force. And again, wherever you fall on that, that's where you fall on it. I don't believe Trump is controlled by Israel. I'll come out and say that. But then again, it's not uncommon for me to have disagreeing opinions with the majority of people. So all said, we'll see how that continues to play out. I know a lot of people like your Laura Loomers and stuff are pretty pissed off at Trump right now. So interesting times. Here's Trump talking about. He's talking to the hostage. Yeah, he's listening to the hostage. So actually, Trump sat there and listened to every single one of the hostages. This one story in particular is a little short, and it's pretty heart touch. It's like heart wrenching, if you will. Check it out.
Along with my friends, which were all murdered. One of them, Tamil was still held. His body is still held in Gaza. Later on, I was taken captive for 498 days, leaving my wife with just 2 girls. Up to then, she was pregnant in the bomb shelter for the whole period of time. What I thought is that they were all murdered as well. She later on gave birth, and I got my life back. Thanks to you and your staff. I came back here, met my baby girl when she was already 14 months old, and now life is full.
That's beautiful. I mean, they're finally out and finally got to see his daughter after she's 14 months old. His wife was pregnant when he was taken prisoner. Again, so sad. Five notable kind of moments in Trump's speech. It's kind of broken, like 5 little parts of it, and it was kind of cool how they did it. I think you probably will enjoy it like I did.
Families across this land, it has been years since you've known a single day of true peace. But now at last, not only for Israelis, but also for Palestinians and for many others, the long and painful nightmare is finally over. And as the dust settles, the smoke fades, the debris is removed, and the ashes cleaned from the air, the day that breaks on a region transformed and a beautiful and much brighter future appears suddenly within your reach. This is now a very exciting time for Israel and for the entire Middle East, because all across the Middle East, the forces of chaos, terror, and ruin that have plagued the region for decades now stand weakened, isolated, and totally defeated. And after so many years of unceasing war and endless danger, today the skies are calm, the guns are silent, the sirens are still, and the sun rises on a holy land that is finally at peace, a land and a region that will live, God willing, in peace for all eternity. Together we've shown that peace is not just a hope that we can dream about, it's a reality we can build upon day by day, person by person, and nation by nation. And because of that, the Middle East is finally ready to embrace its extraordinary potential. You have extraordinary potential in this region. It should now be clear to everyone throughout the region that decades of fomenting terrorism and extremism, jihadism and anti-Semitism have not worked. They haven't worked. They've been a disaster. We're going to help, and we're going to do something that became unbelievably popular. Everybody wants to be on it. It's called the Board of Peace. Okay, how about that? Is that a beautiful name? Like a board of peace. The only bad thing from my standpoint, every single nation involved has asked me to be the chair, and I'll tell you, I'm very busy. I didn't count on that, but you know what? If we do it, we'll do it right. The world wanted peace, and Israel wanted peace. Everybody did. Everybody did. And what a victory it's been, right? What a victory it's been. The state of Israel is strong, and it will live and thrive forever.
Pretty cool. Big times, big changes, lot happening, and again, it's such a monumental time to be alive. Again, a lot of the anti-Israel people are super pissed about this, and again, I don't know. Again, I know I get the point that everyone kind of thinks that that's happening. I mean, and I think there's been a lot of truth to it over the years, certainly, but I just think we're in very different times, and I don't think things are playing out the way the deep state wanted. I definitely think Israel's got some deep state embedded in them, just like we still do as well, right? Like, so, I mean, I don't know. I just don't like the broad brush stuff. It's all said, all cool. President Trump's also talking about Marco Rubio. This was pretty cool, and Marco had a kind of a comment to make even prior to that as well, but check this out.
And then you're going to add a man named Marco Rubio, who is also here. That's right. And I have a prediction that Marco will go down, I mean this, as the greatest Secretary of State in the history of the United States. I believe that. I believe it. And he and I, we really fought it out. You remember, he was tough. He was nasty. Who the hell thought this was going to happen, Marco, right? And now I'm saying he's going to go down as the greatest. He will. He was always smart and sharp, and people respect him. And then we have somebody who...
I mean, you mean after Hillary Clinton, right? President Trump? the number 2 person. I'm just kidding, of course. She was such a horrible Secretary of State. Here's Marco Rubio. This is clearly, in my mind, he says one of the most important days in the world in, well, a period of time that Trump maybe disagrees with. It's kind of funny.
Egypt's been a phenomenal participant. I think both Steve and Jared will tell you the critical role they played, and they can tell you themselves. They hosted the talks here, and they're going to play a very important role now in the follow-up, the implementation of this, which is really, it's not simply about restoring Gaza, it is about transforming the region. So we have an incredible partner, a long alliance, very capable partner here, and a tremendous collection of leaders. This is clearly, in my mind, I think in the mind of everyone in this room, probably one of the most important days for world peace in 50 years. That's not an exaggeration.
Only 50?
Maybe 100. Since the end of World War II, Mr. President.
Mr. Wickoff.
Yeah, he's right. So it's interesting times. Generations from now, this will be remembered as the moment that everything began to change. Here's Donald Trump.
And let me also convey my tremendous appreciation for all of the nations of the Arab and Muslim world that came together to press Hamas to set the hostages free and to send them home. We had a lot of help. We had a lot of help from a lot of people that you wouldn't suspect, and I want to thank them very much for that. It's an incredible triumph for Israel and the world to have all of these nations working together as partners in peace. And it's pretty unusual for you to see that, but it happened in this case. This was a very unusual point in time, a brilliant point in time. Generations from now, this will be remembered as the moment that everything began to change, and change very much for the better. Like the USA right now, it will be the golden age of Israel and the golden age of the Middle East. It's going to work together.
The entire world is changing. And again, the way the deep state stepped aside and shut the government down, I mean, we'll talk more about that, but it's just strange how all of this is playing out. Here's Netanyahu having some words.
I have to tell you, I've seen a lot of American presidents. Seen them all in the time that I've been here, and I've been here quite a lot of time. I've never seen anyone move the world so quickly, so decisively, so resolutely as our friend President Donald J. Trump.
Now, I mean, personally, I wish he were more humble, but that's not who we put into office, right? That's not who Donald Trump is, never was. And so again, congratulations, and he deserves it. Interesting point that was made, and it's funny, is I initially got a cut of this, and someone cut it halfway through. So the last 30 seconds or so is what they were sharing. And I'm like, that's got to be out of context. And it was heavily out of context. So I was very happy to find the full context of the question, and it made totally different sense. Now, I'm saying all that because he does say something kind of interesting that he may not, I'm not sure I'm going to be able to make heaven, but I've made life better for a lot of people. Like, he literally kind of talks about how he doesn't know if he's necessarily going to make it to heaven. Kind of an interesting process to deal with.
Eternity, go ahead.
You had talked a couple weeks ago, you were doing an interview, and you talked about how you hope to end the war in Ukraine because it might help you get into heaven. How does this help? Does this help?
I mean, I'm being a little cute. I don't think there's anything going to get me in heaven, okay? I really don't. I think I'm not maybe heaven bound. I may be in heaven right now as we fly in Air Force One. I'm not sure I'm going to be able to make heaven. But I've made life a lot better for a lot of people. And, as an example, had the election of 2020 not been rigged, you would have millions of people living just in Russia, Ukraine alone. That would have never happened. And it didn't happen for 4 years. And I knew Putin very well. It was the apple of his eye. All the things I've said would have never happened. We had an incompetent administration. We had an incompetent president. And because of a crooked election, millions of people are dead. And by the way, the Israeli thing was much harder to get settled because of the mess.
Yeah, they actually cut it after he said it was cute. He was being cute, and then they played it, and then he didn't talk about the Ukraine stuff, or they had a teeny bit of snippet of that. So he just had this, I don't think I'm going to make it to heaven. It was just weird, because it was just not what he said. And again, what he said, still kind of a trip. Don't get me wrong. It certainly warrants some more discussions down the road. But when asked about Blinken, this was kind of fun. He obviously doesn't have a whole lot of good stuff to say about the Biden administration at all.
And they were in places that you don't want to know about. Deep.
Some of the top Biden administration folks who were there, like Antony Blinken, seem to want some credit for the peace deal. Blinken says it's good that President Trump adopted and built on the plan that the Biden administration developed. What do you think about that?
Everybody knows that's a joke. Look, they did such a bad job. This should have never happened. This wouldn't have even happened. That was weak leadership, terrible. And the same thing with Russia, Ukraine. If just a decent president, not a great president like me, not a great president. If a decent president was in, you wouldn't have had the Russia-Ukraine. And this is, I would say, even more so. This was bad policy by Biden and by Obama. Remember when Bibi came and he begged that you not do what they were doing with Iran? You remember that, right? Begged them. And they wouldn't even listen to him. Everything they did was the opposite of what you should have done. And it's nice that they try and take a little credit. That was years ago, and the mistakes were made years ago, and it was both by Biden and Obama.
And so what did you do so differently? Because I know a lot of it was behind the scenes. So what did you do so much differently than Joe Biden and to end the war?
I resonated with the Arab leaders, the Muslim leaders, and the Jewish leaders. For whatever reason, you tell me why. You know, he said that in my first news conference, I answered more questions of him than Biden did in 4 years. And I think that's pretty close to being true.
Now, there were no Pinocchios in the fact check.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, I mean, Trump is, we're just in such a very different place. And you can see the population swelling behind him. It's just getting larger and larger. And so, again, pretty cool, pretty powerful. Here is just a real fast kind of, and I didn't record this, but it's pretty cool how they did it. But everybody got their opportunity to get a picture with Trump. Trump was the guest of honor. This is huge. What was it, 60 nations or something like that are completely behind this? That's incredible. He's also got some very, very nice words that he says about Erdogan as well. But we'll get through this part first. Yeah, it's all quiet anyway. I don't even know. So some of these people are. Some of them I know. Yeah, there was actually the Macron moment was actually cool. I saw that one play out, and they did a little tug of war thing with their hands. That was kind of cool. So again, yeah, this is extraordinarily fast. I could slow it down, but the point is to show how many different leaders wanted to get up there and take pictures with him. Right? This is huge to a lot of nations. Right? So everybody does. Oh, Israel controls everything. Israel's hated by so many people. These people wouldn't be happy with Trump if a lot of what people are claiming about Trump was true. I just don't think that's the case. I don't think we've got Saudi Arabia on board or Turkey on board for that matter, unless there's something legitimate going on here. But nah. Again, people are going to believe what they're going to believe. I'm loving it, and it's cool. And it's, again, I'm like learning from the Law of One stuff I'm teaching, right? It's the creator and others, and it's cool. We don't all have to agree. Makes it fun. But it is consistent to people that I'm seeing it from. So it's like, okay, yeah, that's how it plays out. It's kind of cool. You know who's who, right? And it doesn't mean we're right or wrong. I mean, I don't assume I'm right. This is the best I've come to, you know? This is trying really hard to not just say what everybody else says, but to actually give you guys my best take on what's going on with what I'm able to bring about or pull into my Rolodex, if you will. But President Trump says, I don't know what it is, but he likes tough people. This is where he's talking about Erdogan. Erdogan, he even calls it out. Turkey is a very good ally to have. They are in NATO, and they're the one NATO vote that has kept a lot of things from happening because they're Muslim. And Erdogan's a powerful leader and a lot more humble than Trump, it would seem.
He's an amazing leader. And another man who's been a friend of mine for a long time. I don't know what it is. I like the tough people better than I like the soft, easy ones. I don't know what the hell that is. It's a personality problem, I suspect. But this gentleman from a place called Turkey has one of the most powerful armies actually in the world. It's much more powerful than he even lets known. If you look at some of the recent conflicts, he was at the top of them and he was winning them, and he did win them. And he doesn't want any credits, he doesn't want anything, he just wants to be left alone. He's a tough cookie, but he's been my friend. And every time I've ever needed him, he's been there for me. So I just want to thank President Erdogan.
Again, this is beauty beyond words. And this dude's not fond of Israel at all. So again, this is world changing. This is peace. This is something that's frankly never happened. They wanted the Gog-Magog war. That's more or less coming to a complete and total end as far as the possibility of it happening. The prophecies that were written by those that wished to make sure they came true are going to have to come true in different ways, or we're going to have to learn to read between the lines, because I don't think they're getting their way. And it seems we're learning that. So this Israel thing, in my opinion, huge, huge news. J.D. Vance, he's blaming the misreporting for the uproar. You guys remember this thing about the Qatari Air Force? And I'm glad, I misreported it too, but I didn't know what was about, and so I kind of gave benefit of the doubt, and I'm like, hopefully we'll understand this better. But what's actually going on is they're not building a base. They're actually going to be utilizing one of our bases. They're building a building on that base, and it's where they're going to house training for the F-15s that they've purchased from us. So they bought a bunch of F-15s, which are incredible aircraft, by the way. And this fact that they're flying still as long as they have been is incredible as well. But they are buying a bunch of those from us, and they're sending pilots over here, and they're going to actually have, I think, some of theirs that are marked with the Qatari, emblems on it. But they'll actually be training with the U.S. Air Force. So that's really what's happening. This isn't like we're giving them a base or something strange like that. And so it was cool that J.D. Vance basically got behind this and said, look, this is largely a fake story. We continue to have with countries that we work with. We have relationships where sometimes their pilots work on our bases. Sometimes that we train together. Sometimes we work together in other ways. The reporting that somehow there's going to be a Qatari base on United States soil, that's just not true. Coming from the Hill, of all places, I was shocked. I was like, okay, very sweet, very sweet. So that's, to me, was big news. All right, heading into, the financial war and the shutdown. We got a couple crazy things going on. Pritzker's blaming ICE while Chicago's sanctuary policies fuel chaos. This is, again, just the stupid stuff we keep hearing. Pritzker further inflamed tensions by accusing federal agents of making it a war zone in Chicago, conjuring images of militarized oppression. However, anyone familiar with Chicago knows it has resembled a war zone since well before ICE arrived. The city has earned the nickname Chirac, or Chirac, for it is entrenched violence, where shooting and homicides have long plagued neighborhoods, like Iraq is inside it, Chirac, right? Or Chirac, however you'd want to say it. People know. There's no doubt about it. Trump's mulling over the option of doing the Insurrection Act. He's saying this because, again, he's trying to fire people up. And he wants judges to do crazy stuff, like try to preemptively stop him from using the Insurrection Act before he's even done it. Like that wouldn't be legal. There's a whole lot of things that I think he's really trying to get them to do. Portland and Chicago are two places in particular that he's driving the baddies into the streets. He's trying to get them somewhat fired up. And since it looks like they've won, they're going to get a little cocky. Now, granted, we know in Portland they're all dressing up in stuffed animal costumes and weird stuff because they're trying to make themselves look cuddly. Whatever. It's not going to work. We all know who Antifa or whatever these people are called. We all know who they are and what they are. It's not a shock to anybody. A group of America lovers arrive with a large Charlie Kirk painting outside the ICE facility in Portland. I'll imagine how much that pisses off the Antifa folks over there. That's enough. But yeah, we get the point. Kind of cool. I don't know. Kind of cool in my mind anyway. Charlie Kirk's done a lot through his passing, or at least through the experience that we've all gone through. Whatever side of that you believe is fine. Either way. China is showing that the World Trade Organization, trying to show them who's in charge, is what is being kind of reported, but it's not really what's actually playing out. In fact, China sort of seems like they might have pulled back a hair on this. Long article, kind of interesting. Basically, just showing that China's trying to flex its muscles. I think they're also getting out of the special and differential treatment, that whole new nation status. They're pulling back on that, which is meant, many are saying, to make China look like they're now a world leader, a world power, instead of, a developing nation. It is what it is, and they should be out of it. So my opinion is we probably said something to the effect of China either loses their special status or we're out of the World Trade Organization too. Like, we'll get out of all this crap. We're not paying for any of this stuff. This is nonsense, and, you will no longer have any power or authority in our worlds. And so I think China had pressure put on them to like, dude, you're like the second largest economy in the world. So, no, you don't get that anymore. Sorry. So I think that's really what it has to do with. Whatever. It's gone, or it's going away anyways. Ambassador Greer, in the past couple of days, I think it's become very clear to everybody that this is a power grab by the Chinese, and people are not having it. And people didn't react the way China hoped. So this might be somewhat of the backing out of this one. We'll see.
Countries all over the world are going to be impacted by this. The Ministry of Commerce posted overnight, China's export controls are not export bans. Licenses will be granted for eligible applications. Before the measures were announced, China had already notified relevant countries and regions through bilateral export control dialogue mechanisms. I assume the U.S. was not notified since the president said this came as a surprise. But how do you read this message? Does this look like a walk back to you guys?
Well, clearly, the Chinese have realized that they have wildly overstepped the bounds of what's acceptable. I can tell you that we were not notified, and quickly, as soon as we found out from public sources, we reached out to the Chinese to have a phone call, and they deferred. However, in the past couple of days, I think it's become very clear to everybody that this power grab by the Chinese won't be tolerated. So I think some of this messaging has signaled that they understand that there's a serious issue here.
Yeah, that they way overplayed their hand. And, which the Chinese aren't known for being that rash. So, again, there's a lot of question as to what's going on, whether or not Xi has actually got control, whether the CCP has kicked Xi out. Then you have to do kind of radical things to stay in power, or else you end up dead, generally, is what the CCP does. But the hope, rumor always was that Xi was going to get them out of the CCP. That was the hope. Now, again, if that's true, don't know. She is arguably one of the worst humans that's ever walked the earth from a lot of the stuff they've supported. But again, I don't know how the system works there. How much of that was CCP versus she trying to figure out how to not make it happen. Again, China's a very interesting place. And you don't get in power without agreeing with the CCP, at least since they've been in charge. So again, a lot happening. How this plays out is going to be, China's going to try to make themselves look good. Again, it's all about China and the Communist Chinese Party. There's no such thing as religion. There's no such thing as afterlife or anything. There's only the state. That's it. That is their religion. That is their everything. It's sad, too, because when people pass away, they have no idea that, they're going to continue on. It's unfortunate, but yeah, it is what it is. We got this rare earth stocks right now are going crazy. This is a very good type of thing to think about investing in. A lot of these rare earth companies, especially anything that's here in the United States, are going to be doing very well. And there's a huge push right now for all the rare earths. Stakes are enormous. We've got, this is China. Yeah, so this is a big deal. Okay, Intel is making a new processor. They're going to be building it. A factory in Chandler, Arizona, and actually manufacturing it there as well. It's going to be a 700-acre chip factory. It's going to be about a $32 billion facility. They're going to be building this new chip, this 18A. And this is supposed to be the greatest chip ever. If it's not, this is going to be an extraordinarily painful moment for Intel. But everybody's kind of banking on it. Everybody's hoping, and hopefully Intel can do what they're trying to do. And if they can, we've got NVIDIA, Apple, Qualcomm, a whole lot of people are going to be like, yes. And this will be one more notch ahead of even what China's trying to do. China's trying to make their own chips too, we understand, because they don't want to be reliant on us. They realize anything that we're reliant on the other is a horrible idea because we don't trust each other, and we shouldn't. Well, China we're pretty trustworthy, but we've been way too kind, and now we've realized what they're up to. So they don't trust us at all because we're no longer trusting them, and we realize they're liars. They're just a big, fat bunch of liars. Not fat, but they're a bunch of liars. London silver squeezed. U.S. bars sent to cover physical shortfall. Literally, people are screwed. They're having to buy silver at high prices because they made shorts, and silver just went through the roof. I'm curious if it's higher. I've got a screenshot. If it's higher or even lower than where it was, but it was way the hell up. It was tripping me out. But right now, I guess London's had all sorts of issues with actually trying to acquire physical silver to pay off some of their how do they explain this? Some of the liquidity issues they need. Second time in history, the metal has reached this level, over 50. It was like 52 something. Let's see. Yeah. Liquidity in London has nearly vanished. Traders short the physical market are struggling to find metal, paying steep borrowing costs to maintain positions. There is no liquidity available currently. So there's still a bunch of people that are shorting it, and it went really, really, really high. And Deep State might not control the pricing of gold and silver anymore, is what we are basically seeing. So at the moment, I'm assuming this is still accurate. I guess I should do... There it goes. I think it's finally moving. But gold and silver, gold's sitting at $41.25. It's gone up $125 today. $125, 3.13% today. It went up. Silver went up so far $3. It's only at 50. Is that right? Let me refresh and make sure. I feel like it should be higher than that. It was like, where was it? It was almost at 52 earlier today, wasn't it? Oh, no, it was 50.32. All right, still, over 50, but still, 6.56% increase. Silver went up $3.09 today. This is a bad sign for the dollar. This is also some of the multiplier effect kicking in. So any of you guys that have already made the smart move and gotten out of your 401k or your IRA or got some precious metals, you're stoked right now, aren't you? We still got some growth, a lot of growth, frankly, baked into gold and silver. So, folks, it's not too late. Though this is one of those things where every day you're actually losing money because of inflation if you're sitting in a 401k or sitting in an IRA. Now, again, if you're being matched by your company, awesome. Keep it going. I'm not saying quit it. What I'm saying is divest some of that money. Move some of that money out of there into precious metals, and it's actual physical metals. You do it tax-free, penalty-free, and you also are going to get up to 10% free silver. So like if you move over $100,000, you're going to get $10,000 of free silver. Let my good friends at Goldco help you out. They've also got this Ronald Reagan coin that you're probably going to get. It's a half ounce. It's a collectible coin. Ronald Reagan saluting on the one side. It's 0.999% pure. And you're also going to get your gold and silver kit. It's going to teach you how precious metals hold buying power. I've used the example a lot, not to beat the dead horse, but I'm going to anyway. Could have bought a fully tailored suit back in 1930 with 1 ounce of gold. 1 ounce of gold cost about $30 back then, $20, $30, whatever it was. Okay, it depends. 1 ounce of gold, fully tailored suit, about $20. Today, $4,100, fully tailored suit, 1 gold piece. Buying power. It's $4,100 now. It's no longer $20 or $30. So the value isn't what you're looking at, though, again, right now, I think there's a bit of a multiplier kicking in. There is some money to be made, but a lot of that is the devaluation of the dollar. That's the inflation. What you see if you're a stockholder right now is the value of the dollar has gone down significantly in one day, which means the value of your stocks, though the numbers are up, the value went down across the board significantly. And a lot of this is because of what's going on with China and the trade wars and everything else. This is not a time to, I think, take this lightly. The stock market's going to have its day, and we also see there's actually a financial war with the number 2 market in the world, and possibly involving the overall number 2 market, which is Europe. So Europe, China, and us are the biggest economies, hands down, in the world. We also have the weirdest stock markets right now. And this war with China, depending how it plays out, is going to make things difficult. Don't stay in their system. Get out tax-free, penalty-free. Go to drslikesgold.com. drslikesgold.com. Lock in that buying power right now. Whatever you can buy with the amount of money you're looking at. Like, is it a house? Is it a down payment on a house? Lock that in. Get the precious metals. Know that you'll still be able to spend that same amount and get yourself taken care of. Go to drslikesgold.com, drslikesgold.com. Always so many things going on in the world. It's crazy. Anyways, we're getting through it. I'm getting through it, guys. So the shutdown, got a lot to talk about on this right now. Speaker Johnson, he says we're barreling towards one of the longest shutdowns in American history. I think he's literally preparing us for what's likely coming. And that's likely the longest shutdown we've ever had, which I think is 33 days or something to that effect, somewhere around there. Fact check me on it if you want, but right around there. The longest one that I remember seeing. We'll possibly go longer than that. Think of the number of jobs that might go away. Vance is warning deeper cuts ahead for federal workers as shutdown enters the 12th day. Actually, I think 13th day technically right now, right? So, yeah, this is happening. I think Donald Trump also talking about it. But here's him talking with MSNBC. But here's Vance. He's got balls, man. That guy doesn't mind going into the lion's den, that's for sure.
Vice President, we still have a lot to get to. You are in power, and the administration has begun layoffs of thousands of federal workers. And yet, during the 2019 shutdown under the first Trump administration, which lasted 35 days, no federal workers were laid off. Why are these firings necessary?
Well, I just think it shows the different priorities of Democrats and Republicans in the midst of these shutdowns. You really have to ask yourself, who do we care more about? Federal bureaucrats in Washington, D.C., or low-income women getting the food benefits they deserve, our troops getting the payment they need, flood insurance across the Southeast in the midst of hurricane season?
But laying people off is a priority?
We are going to have to lay off some federal workers. Kristen, if you would let me finish, we have to lay off some federal workers in the midst of this shutdown to preserve the essential benefits for the American people that the government does provide. So we don't want to be in this situation. We don't want to be laying off federal workers, but the Democrats have shut down the government. They have forced us to choose between American citizens and federal bureaucrats. We're choosing the benefits, the critical services that benefit our American citizens.
Now, here's the thing, and you guys mark my words on this because this is going to happen, and I think this is going to be sweet. This is going to be the friggin', we're going to spike the ball in the end zone, assuming that's still somewhat allowed. What they're going to do is they're literally going to get one of these crazy radical judges, and it's going to be one of the judges that tried to force the administration into paying money to like USAID and stuff like that, right? It's going to be one of those judges, mark my words, one of those judges are going to come out and actually put a stop or a TRO against Trump paying the troops or using tariff money or any of these things that he's about to do. They're literally going to come out and say, you can't give money to the troops the way you're about to do it. And it'll be the same judge who wanted to force Trump to give money to like USAID or one of those types of organizations. You watch. You watch. One of the ones that forced them to keep people working that shouldn't have been. It's going to happen. It's going to be beautiful when it does, too, by the way. So expect it. It's coming. I think Trump is literally leading them to this, like a lamb to the slaughter, like a Judas goat. Defined that yesterday. Here is another lovely lady that is helping, I think, move the word properly.
The Trump administration used $300 million of tariff revenue to fund the WIC program. The Trump administration also authorized the payment of payroll to the military. Even in the midst of this government shutdown, he's making sure that people are taken care of. That sounds like what I voted for. But you all voted for Democrats. Democrats who would shut the government down, have children go without food, have our military go without pay, have federal workers go without pay. That's the person, the people that you voted for. So you might want to kind of look at your own side of things at this point and ask yourself, which one of us actually voted for the monsters? Which one of us actually voted for bad people? Because time and time again, it's looking like the Democrats are consistently on the wrong side of every situation. They don't want to protect women from illegal aliens raping them. They don't want to protect children from being in locker rooms and bathrooms with grown adult men. They don't want to protect women from having trans, whatever you want to call them, because they're not trans women to me. They're just people who have decided to dwell in gender dysphoria. They want those people to override our rights. Every single time, the Democrats get it wrong. But thank you, President Trump, for making sure that the WIC program was funded. Oh, with the tariff revenue that people said wouldn't work. But you were able to use $300 million of tariff revenue to even fund WIC. Wow. What a win for the American people. I'm so glad we were able to be on the right side of history with you.
And again, I don't know if they'll go after the WIC. I think they'll try to stop the military from getting paid, because I truly think that was one of the things that the deep state wanted to shut down. And is one of the key things was to minimize our ability to hold power abroad, which the abroad military always gets paid. But again, we've got stuff with Maduro and all that. So there's a lot of things that are abroad, but not as much abroad. So again, they wanted to weaken us, and especially the National Guard and stuff like that. Schumer shutdown halts TRICARE medical payments for military families, actually jeopardizing care. This is happening down in San Antonio. A whole lot of people rely on TRICARE, and these doctors are not getting paid by TRICARE because of the government shutdown right now. And it's getting to a point where it's actually starting to hurt the doctors a little bit. They almost kind of want to be able to say no. I'm sure they're only taking people that are, there's no other way to put this off, right? Not elective stuff, but mandatory or necessary. So we've got a problem going on already, and we're only 13 days in. Jeffries is, basically saying it's the GOP's fault. They're trying to talk us into nuking the filibuster as a way to move forward. They've been trying to get rid of the filibuster forever. They want us to fall on that sword. I pray that the senators aren't stupid enough to do that. I know Thune's not. I know people like Kennedy wouldn't be. There's a number of them in there that I don't think are stupid enough to fall for that. And I think the desperation shouldn't lie on our side of the fence. They literally tried to fund, they were continuing the funding of the Biden budget. It was the original Biden budget. They were, like Johnson said many times, a continuing resolution at exact same funding levels. And Johnson's like, we didn't like it. We could have loaded it up with a whole bunch of shit. We didn't. It's like 39, 49 pages, whatever. It's tiny. And so, no, we're not going to shut down. We're not going to do shutting down the filibuster just so we can get around this. No, because they want it to look like we did something, like we broke, basically. And what's going to happen is the Dems are losing hard. And they're telling themselves and telling their echo chambers that we're winning this. And they can keep saying that. But what they're going to notice, these people that are listening to MSNBC, they're going to be like, yeah, we're winning this. And then they're going to talk to people out in the real world, and they're going to be like, well, how come there's so many people that don't see the positive of this? Yeah, this is not going well for them. Speaker Johnson tries to rein in Marjorie Taylor Greene following lawmakers' criticism of the GOP healthcare costs. Said he would even maybe bring her in on the discussions that are going to be had about healthcare. Like, he's trying to give her a chance. Now, she's like, here goes another $100 billion to Ukraine or $30 billion to Israel, but yet nobody can afford health insurance premiums. Like, here's the thing that pisses me off right now. Well, there's a lot of things that piss me off about Marjorie Taylor Greene in general, especially now. But it's too many times. And she's literally attacking the leadership, which I think is just, again, horrible. But we've got this person that literally wants taxpayers to fund healthcare because healthcare has gotten so expensive. Why don't you fix the problem rather than try to get more tax money? Marjorie, oh, you're so worried that people are going to have to pay more. We have a broken system. Now, again, I think the Republicans are willing to kind of work with this, but this idea that this is what this is about, that we should give them the 1.5 trillion or 1.7 trillion. I mean, what are you actually saying, Marjorie? And essentially, stop saying anything. Like, I hope someone in Georgia is actually going to run against this chick. Like, primary the hell out of this bitch, because, sorry, I'm tired of it. Tired of her. I take back bitch, maybe, but Rep. Marjorie Taylor Greene comes out against mass deportations. We have to do something about labor, and that needs to be smarter plan than just rounding up every single person and deporting them. That's not even what's happening. What is going on with this frickin' chick? You're Thomas Massey in my mind now, Marjorie. That's it. I've walked the corner. Our relationship is over. I don't care if you change at this point now. You're done. You are Thomas Massey to me. You're a horrible person. Sick of it. Sorry if you guys like her, but I'm done with her. Done with her. Hate me for it. I don't care. Senate Majority Leader Thune says Schumer is checked out in an effort to end the government shutdown. Yeah, he's not going to do anything to stop it. And he's screwed. I mean, everybody kind of knows this. There's no way for Schumer to move forward without his people basically crossing the line. So the question's going to be who are the ones that can actually maybe pull it off politically, or who might benefit from it politically. Some people are in red states like Fetterman. It's actually going to help him out. He's already there. I mean, he's already made the vote. But needless to say, his state, who's reasonably conservative, is probably going to keep him in his seat. Guy's like doing what's best for our country. He's helping Israel, right? He stands for a lot of stuff, and he likes more social programs, obviously, than most people on the other side of the fence. But Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent indicated his department is shuffling the flow of money through its systems in order to allow for U.S. military staff to get paid, a maneuver that his predecessor had suggested might not be possible. Said, quote, "We're having to prioritize payments. We are having to hold back on some payments so that our brave men and women in U.S. military can get paid. So we are having to shuffle things around." It's happening. Donald Trump posted this, and I'm not 100%. I got to dig into this a little further. But he's talking about Fannie Mae. We give them billions. So all these home companies are getting billions of dollars from Fannie Mae. That seems messed up. I'm hoping that's what Trump's talking about. He was also talking about making it a public company too, and then it wouldn't be our problem. But yeah, $8.8 billion to Lennar Homes. Dr. Horton's getting $7.3 billion. Pulte Homes is getting $5.5 billion. NVR Homes, $2.4 billion. Taylor Morrison Home, $2.3 billion. I mean, just look at the billions of dollars. Marjorie Taylor Greene, why don't you put your head in this fucking hole and start looking and asking questions? You're out of control, woman. She pissed me off. I'm not worse than Massey. Massey's way worse. Way worse. But Marjorie's, she's in the same category. They're both minus 10. Horrible. How did energy-rich Pennsylvania screw up so badly? This is really funny. So it's not. I mean, it sucks. Pennsylvania literally creates a bunch of their own energy. They have the natural gas, the fracking, all that stuff. And so they've done very well with that. And what's funny is they export energy to states around them. And all the places they export energy to, the ones that are literally buying energy from Pennsylvania, they pay less than people that live in Pennsylvania. Yeah, like a lot less. So that's what is kind of going here. This is pretty messed up. Over the past 5 years, electricity prices in Pennsylvania have risen 45%. When I talk about inflation, they never take into account energy, gas, power, any of it. They don't take it in. That's not part of the inflation number. Our inflation is way higher. If you bring in rents, for that matter, way higher than what they're saying. The cost of living's gone up significantly faster than the actual wages. And then, like, you've got people like Marjorie Taylor Greene that want to bring in more illegal immigrants to do jobs that Americans need to do. Now, again, one of the problems we have in this country is we've honestly got a lot of people that just don't want to work. Don't want to. It's not even that they won't necessarily do something. They just have been rewarded for not working for so long, they don't want to work. Donald Trump truthed this out. Throughout most of our history, America's colleges and universities have been a great strategic asset to the United States. Tragically, however, much of higher education has lost its way and is now corrupting our youth and society with woke, socialist, and anti-American ideology that serves as justification for discriminatory practices by universities that are unconstitutional and unlawful. My administration is fixing this, and fast, with our great reform agenda in higher education. Our nation's great institutions will once again prioritize merit and hard work before group identity, resulting in tremendous new research and opportunity to benefit all Americans and equally being honored in American businesses, courts, and culture. Equality being honored. To those universities that continue to illegally discriminate based on race or sex, we will continue our current efforts to swiftly and forcefully enforce federal law. But for those institutions that want to quickly return to the pursuit of truth and achievement, they are invited to enter into a forward-looking agreement with the federal government to help bring about the golden age of academic excellence in higher education. They will agree to follow federal law and protect the civil rights of all students, faculty, and employees on campuses. They will stop racist admission policies and put an end to unjust and illegal discrimination in faculty hiring. These institutions will commit to higher quality standards and intellectual open campus environment, including the protection of free speech and debate, institutionally neutrality, major steps towards affordability for students, and an end to the entanglement of foreign money in the finances of American universities. Americans deserve to be treated in accordance with their demonstrated achievements and potential, and upon regaining this fundamentally American value, our nation will be unstoppable. We will once again have universities that develop the talents of our amazing young people and lead lives of success and fulfillment, cultivate a love of country and a culture of achievement, and help make all America proud, safe, prosperous, and free. Americans, hard to read. Super long, but yes, he's making the differences, and is hopefully going to make a difference in the big picture. It should. Just got to find a way to motivate people. Again, a lot of people are not motivated, and it's just gotten so much worse since COVID. It was the weirdest thing. Just everyone just like, I don't want to work. Trucking industry advised that to audit all drivers and limit the commercial driver's licenses liability. Anybody that has received notification from the Transportation Secretary as of now to make sure that nobody on their records has these bullshit licenses. If they do and they cause an accident and are found out, the trucking company will be sued. So basically, they're putting a lot of the onus back on the trucking companies, which is good. By the way, there's another job that a lot of people could possibly do. Learn how to drive a truck. And, well, as long as you don't hate being at home. But yeah, there's a lot of potential jobs that I think are good paying. And a lot of people like, I love driving. That's fun. I'd do that all day. Mayoral candidate Mamdani flees angry pro-Israeli demonstrator in New York City. It's just one person. Kind of a stupid story, but at least it's one person in New York that does that. New York City mayor candidate Zohran Mamdani in illegal donor scandal, though. He's getting a bunch of money from overseas investors. You're not allowed to get anything from overseas investors. And he's supposedly got some 170 people whose addresses are registered abroad. And so far, 88 have not been returned. So, yeah, like some of them aren't even legit addresses. This is very illegal. And they're getting $2,100 from all sorts of different people. One of them is his mother-in-law, but still, she's from abroad. And so it's got to be concerning. Someone at a university in Australia, Dubai-based investor. We've got just a bunch of people that shouldn't be investing in our elections. Why are they? Especially New York. Now, we know they want to get some sort of favorable status in some way, shape, or form. New York's going to screw everybody that actually lives there, but they're going to give deals to their billionaire friends, which is funny. That's what they always accuse Republicans of doing. That's exactly what they're doing right now. Virginia Democrat Abigail Spanberger, she's unworthy to be governor for not protecting girls' sports. She had a debate. Again, this is the chick running Virginia. You guys make sure you get out and vote. Got to make sure Virginia votes. Got to make sure Texas votes. California, you all got to get out there. Steve Hilton calling out Katie Porter for her crazy blow-up. I've been playing those. Katie Porter's a nasty girl. I think we got a chance if we can all get out and vote like we did for Trump. I think we've got even more people that are going to actually stop voting for some of these crazy people, and this will be beautiful when they do. Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson's security now includes 150 Chicago Police Department officers. That blew my mind. I'm like, is that real? 150 people in your security? Damn. And then I guess maybe if I looked at like Secret Service that take care of Trump, that number's probably huge, right? So maybe it's just like not used to thinking about numbers from that standpoint, but average officer salary is $150,000, and there are 150 officers would cost about $22.5 million in base salaries and benefits. With overtime, Brandon Johnson's security is estimated to cost taxpayers around $33.7 million. Dude's got a 4% approval rating? Nice. Doing a good job there, buddy. Want to remind you guys of Proud Patriots. Love these dudes. Unfortunately, the easiest way to get there, because they don't have like a code, which is a bummer. I'd love it if you guys would hit the link, because, there it is. At least I'm behind it. But Proud Patriots, so if you go to www.proudpatriots.us or just proudpatriots.us should be the easiest way to get there. If you can add the link or put the link in there or copy the link, and go there. It's just some really cool stuff. You help the channel out, so I appreciate that. But if not, Proud Patriots, man, they got some really, really cool stuff. The link's on the screen, and it will be in the top description box for all the places where you're watching the videos. But they've got some of the best sellers right now. Just check those out at the moment. I've got the Trump bear. It's so cute. The bobbleheads are super cool. You got 2 different bobbleheads. Also got some of the coinage. Coinage is very cool. This is really neat stuff too. So Liberty coins and all that. Again, it's just stuff that's like patriotic. The Black Eagle, genuine, legal, tender U.S. $1 bill. It's just a cool $1 bill. Now again, it's $24.99. This isn't something that you're going to be like baller and walk around and pay people with it, but it's cool to have. It's cool to show people. It's cool to put in a frame. It's beautiful. Again, just like really cool stuff. Oh, Trump elf. Look at that. How cool is that? You could leave that at people's houses if you think about it, right? Right? The ones that are maybe, they got the elf thing on the shelf going on, and maybe they're not conservative. It might be fun. But again, some super cool stuff. They got a whole bunch of the Trump bears now. 47 bear. I got the 45 bear. Yeah, he's got 2024 on his feet. That's what my bear has. All said. Still cool. I got the guy with the leather jacket. Yeah, this one. Yeah, 2024. This is the one I got. This one's cool. So, all said. Really, really neat stuff. Just go to Proud Patriots, hit the link, please, and you will be helping out the channel tremendously. And again, it's just some really cool stuff. Like I forget to advertise for these guys because I love what they got. They got a bunch of stuff. I got some of their cards. Their cards are really cool. They're just really, really good quality stuff. It's really, really nice. And this glass is super cool. You guys know it. So yeah, check out Proud Patriots. Hit that link in the description box, please. Or if not, pause the video, and type it in. The capital letters matter. But type it in, and proudpatriots.us/78DTMM/6H52ND. There you go. Yeah, type that in, and it'll work for you. But yeah, it's on the screen. And literally, capital letters matter when you're doing it, so that's important. Make sure those are capped. And I appreciate your guys' help. Proud Patriots, good stuff. And you'll find all sorts of cool stuff over there that you're going to want to show off to your friends. And it'll probably piss some of them off, too. Nate Morris on Charlie Kirk launching his campaign. He said the fight between Trump and Mitch McConnell. So he got involved, Charlie Kirk was, with the whole thing in Kentucky. It's funny as they don't bring up Massey, which he's from Kentucky. But yeah, Mitch McConnell's been a huge problem. They wanted to bring in Mitch McConnell 2.0. I think this dude's trying to run against him, or somebody else seems to be. Kicked off Nate Morris's campaign. Morris discussed during an appearance. Yeah, so Morris might be the guy we probably want. Anyway, there seems to be a lot more going on in this Charlie Kirk stuff than I think a lot of people even realize. And I think it's easy to blame Israel, but it's deep state that, assuming he was killed, I believe that. But I just saying for the people that don't, because there's a lot of people that don't, I do believe that the deep state was behind it. A lot of people are saying it's a white hat thing. I think he's dead. So if he's actually alive, then I would have to assume that it's a white hat thing. That just seems so unlikely because of what it does to his kids. And then again, I've heard a lot of the stories. I don't need to be reminded of them. There's stuff about his wife, and I mean, it's just anyway. It's really weird. One of the strangest things. Kentucky Senate opponent and Barr are selling out America with this amnesty push. What is this? And Andy Barr wants to sell out America. Nate Morris, Republican candidate in Kentucky Senate race, said of his opponent. So, yeah, again, Kentucky Senate race, we want Nate Morris, I guess. So, Kentuckians, we need to make sure the right people make it. So, you guys got to get out and vote, too, for sure. A couple city things. Oh, bombshell vax versus unvax study. This is pretty crazy. Yeah. Rather than play it, I'll read it. So this bombshell vax, it's an actual study, came out, and you could follow it further if you need to. Where did I find this? The Vigilant Fox on Telegram. Dr. Marcus Zervos led the study, but he decided not to publish it because publishing something like that, I might as well retire. I'd be finished. This is what he says. So here's what the study revealed. This is just what the study revealed. Vaccinated children were 4.29 times more likely to have asthma. 3 times higher risk for atopic diseases like eczema. Nearly 6 times higher risk for autoimmune disorders, a category that includes over 80 different diseases. 5.5 times higher risk for neurodevelopmental disorders. 2.9 times more motor disabilities. 4.5 times more speech disorders. 3 times more developmental delays. 6 times more acute and chronic ear infections. In nearly 2,000 unvaccinated children, there were 0 cases of ADHD, diabetes, behavioral problems, learning disabilities, intellectual disabilities, tics, or other psychological disorders. After 10 years, 17% of unvaccinated children had a chronic health issue compared to 57% of vaccinated children. In other words, the study showed vaccinated children had more than 3 times the rate of chronic disease as unvaccinated children. And one of the big differences there is going to be diet, by the way. So that's huge. Huge numbers. Definitely sketchy for the way things are playing out. Howie, it's stupid. I don't know. It's stupid. They were just basically, they had RFK Jr. on there, and they were talking about how nobody ever said that you would never get COVID, right? They just said you'd get a lesser version. But RFK, we've all seen the tapes of Rachel Maddow and Biden and Fauci and Gates and Burla and all those people coming out and saying literally you won't get sick if you get the vaccine. That's what they said. Video lives forever. And then RFK Jr. is he's like, oh, can I get the audio and show it to you? And he's like, yeah, for sure. And then he started to get it. Then Howie's like, it doesn't, we don't need to. Yeah, of course. And again, I try not to be too mean. The Brit bait and switch Brit card. They just want the digital ID. So a lot of people think they're trying to kind of open the Overton window, something that people love using this term nowadays. But they just wanted to get the Overton window opened up, which is the window that society will allow things to happen, right? There's this window that's only so wide of possibilities that you would accept and thusly allow yourself to go down that path. They're trying to get people to go towards this digital ID because they got to protect the children and all that nonsense. It seems a lot of the Brits are not having it. I pray you guys continue to handle things that way. But there was a story, and this happens every single day. There's many stories like this every single day. A man wearing a Union Jack hat and holding a Save Our Kids sign was arrested in the UK despite having his mouth taped shut, just days after police refused to arrest a London imam who called for Muslims to take up arms in jihad against white people. White people. Why do I say it like that when it's... Anyway, that was funny. So, arrested, used to be free. Not anymore. England is not free. Not at all. Madagascar president evacuated on French military aircraft. It seems like every place that French is involved is falling apart right now. So yeah, the president, they had to rush him out. Madagascar's in huge turmoil. North Korea shows off its giant new ICBM. No one's seen it tested. No one really knows if it works. A lot of assumptions about it. They think it could potentially reach the Earth. It seems like it's big enough, too. And they've certainly come a long way. They're touting their rocket engines on these, saying it's their greatest engines they've made yet. So they've come a long way, it seems, with missile technology, I assume helping China. Taiwan says they're going to have this thing called a T-Dome, right? We have our Golden Dome. There's the Iron Dome. They're going to have a T-Dome. They're going to be using some of our Patriot stuff, some of their homegrown stuff. They've got a couple different homegrown systems, multi-layered defense they're talking about. And so, again, this is going to piss off China even more. China is not in a position to be able to really take Taiwan yet. So this, we'll see. I mean, they're going to have to. And I think that's partially what Trump is trying to do. And news stories like this are also trying to do is kind of try to push China to do it sooner than later because they're not ready. They're not capable. They're literally going to be using ferries to ferry tanks across that sea. And we're going to see that on satellite like all day long and be like, they're loading the ferries. Literally, the war is starting. You're not going to just do it for the hell of it. That's just way too big a pain in the ass. So there's just no way this is going to happen accidentally unless, they need an October 7th event, if you will. Trump says he might speak to Putin. I might say, look, if this war is not going to get settled, I'm going to send them tomahawks. So the discussion about this is happening. We'll play the words here.
You might have to speak to Russia, to be honest with you, about tomahawks. Do they want to have tomahawks going in their direction? I don't think so. I think I might speak to Russia about that, in all fairness. I told that to President Zelensky because tomahawks are a new step of aggression. Right? You understand that very well.
Are you saying that you will speak to Putin first about tomahawks?
I might talk to him. I might say, look, if this war's not going to get settled, I'm going to send him tomahawks. I may say that. The tomahawk is an incredible weapon, a very offensive weapon. And honestly, Russia does not need that. They don't need that. Yeah, I might tell them that if the war is not settled, that we may very well do it. We may not, but we may do it. I think it's appropriate to bring up. Yeah, I want to see the war settled. Thank you very much. Tell them to be honest.
What I don't understand about the way he's playing this, and I actually think he's playing it brilliantly, I'm sure. But what is tough for me from an analytic standpoint to get behind is, why are we not putting pressure on Zelensky? But we kind of can't, because optically I think that would play poorly, or they would be able to take advantage of it. We also know Europe is directly behind the war continuing. We know that for sure. Every time Trump has almost made peace plans, Europe's gotten involved with Zelensky, and then boom, no chance of anything happening because Zelensky just, pouts. So Trump's basically saying, all right, Russia, it's up to you to end the war, or I think correctly said, finish it, like quickly, which means they either got to get into Kiev or whatever, or something. I don't know what the plan is at this point. It sounds like they're going to go forever. And like, if Trump's like, yeah, I gotta give them more offensive weapons so they can attack you harder, Russia. Like, how does that help? I guess so. Again, if he's going to make NATO buy him and he doesn't think NATO's actually got the money, maybe there's something like, there's an angle that he's playing that I'm not sure. Right? Like, I just spit out all the best guesses I have. I'm going to assume they don't have the money to buy him, and Trump's not going to just give them to him. I'm sure Zelensky's like, just give them to us. We're good for the money. He's like, no, you're not. No, NATO's got to buy them. It's the only way it's happening. We'll give them to NATO. NATO will give them to you. So we'll see, I guess. Ukraine could cease to exist, Lukashenko is saying, the guy from Belarus. He's basically saying, look, Vladimir Zelensky must be urgently pressured to engage in peace talks. Otherwise, Putin might go all the way in. Putin's making steady movement every single day. Every single day. Russia did attack a UK power grid overnight, and we see some successful attacks by Ukraine deep into Russia, but there's like hardly any drones. There are like a few of them, and they're just going into weird places where they don't really have any defense for drones, right? Like, it's so deep into Russia. Russia's getting smarter about stuff like that, but China slams U.S. plan to restrict flights over Russia. It's an interesting idea. Flying over Russia to get to the United States would make it significantly easier, especially if they go over the pole. That's actually way quicker, right? Especially when you're trying to go East Coast or something like that. So there's a very big possibility that a lot of people are going to start flying over the poles. North Pole would be considered the safer one from the electromagnetic standpoint. Many people would say the South Pole doesn't exist, so whatever. But the South is where all the stuff comes back in, and so you get bombarded hardcore with particles over the South Pole versus the North Pole. North Pole stuff coming out, so for the most part, you're getting a magnetic field, but nothing that's like, it's not like space. You're not picking up like a whole bunch of radiation from space, if you will. The stuff that we're generally protected from in our atmosphere. So there's a lot to say. Trump's arguments kind of is, it makes China more competitive than U.S. companies because you're going to be allowed to do something that we're not allowed to do, because we're not currently allowed to fly over Russia. Now, again, when the war ends, we will be able to. But Trump's kind of like, that's not fair, so you're not allowed to do that, or you can't fly into our country, which would suck big time for China. So again, crazy things are going on right now, and that's the way it's going to play out. JP Morgan's biometric mandate signals a new era of workspace surveillance in finance. These are specifically for the people that work at their New York Park Avenue building, which is very poshy, I'm sure. That's a 60-story building. I saw this and I'm like, there's no way, I'd probably quit. They said fingerprints or eye scan. I don't know. I'd maybe consider fingerprints. I would definitely not do an eye scan. There's no way in hell I'd quit a job before. But again, some of these guys are making 6-7 figures probably, like good money. So, you need it in New York, and you shouldn't live in the city, that's for sure. We all know that. A couple last stories here. China launches a successful rocket. What's weird about this, I'm going to play it. I'll turn down the volume here in a sec. What's weird to me about this is a rocket that's got, it looks like 3 solid boosters, and then it's got a reasonably long inner cone. That's like a lot of thrust. And what they launched were just 3 small satellites into low Earth orbit. Oh, it's got like 5-6 of these little boosters. That's just a trip to have that much extra launch ability for low Earth orbit. Like, to me, it just seems like China's not that far along. Musk can do easy low Earth orbit without any solid booster at all, with just the Raptor engines alone. Obviously, China's got a long way to go. Whatever, they've supposedly made it to the moon. Whatever. And finally, the interstellar object, the 3i Atlas. That's everyone's big thing to talk about. It's now spewing water, which is funny because everyone says it's not spewing water, so it's not a comet. And now it's spewing water, and they're like, it's not acting like a comet. And I was like, I just can't make up my mind what to think about all the stuff that people keep saying about comets. Again, watch with that Randall guy I've told you about. And again, there's a lot to be learned about comets. Comets are fantastically strange objects, for sure. And they behave differently. In fact, one of the theories going around that I was super fond of for a while and still kind of am, but it doesn't always seem to be the case, is that they're plasma. There's a concept of a plasma theory where they're actually just like kind of electric charge or something that's electrically charged, like the fourth state of matter. Either way, but something that's just kind of a weird energy more than necessarily physical stuff. But it seems that with the release of different byproducts, iron and nickel, I think all that stuff, it's all mattering. So again, a lot happening. Stay strong, guys. I love you. Where we go one, we go all. It's on the Fringe with Dan Radio Style.